Hello, listeners. Jordan here. I just want to let you know that you can listen to Nighttime early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Include it with Prime.
You are listening to Keep Canada Weird, a weekly weird news roundup by the Nighttime Podcast.
Humble, Aaron Airport. How you doing over there, buddy?
Humble, eh?
Yeah.
Where's that coming from?
Well, I'll be honest with you. We didn't do a show last week. I had a bit of time off, and it gave me a chance to reflect on a lot of things. One is, yeah, you're handsome, but I think you're a humble guy. You do a great job here, and you don't make a big deal about it. You never really give me a hard time. You don't call in favors, like, I'll walk away from the show like I threatened before. Like, you haven't done stuff like that. This humble Aaron Airport.
Mm-hmm. Humble, yes. And I'm more spiritual now, since we took last week off. I've had a lot of time to reflect myself, not just on the show, but also on my life and my past and think about my future. And I've reconnected with my spirituality, and I'm ready to approach the stories this week with a open mind.
Holistic Aaron Airport.
A holistic approach to the podcast, yeah. So I'm looking forward to not getting angry or upset or being negative towards you and your choices that you make throughout your life that I don't agree with.
So it's holistic, humble, and handsome Aaron Airport. Mm-hmm. I'm glad to have you. I'm sorry that we missed last week. I was actually traveling. It was March break. I was away with my kids. But like I said, I'm back. I have new perspective. I'm refreshed. And, one of the things that I'm changing in my life is my special drink habits. I realize I've been drinking far too much pop. So I will still do special drinks on the show, but it's going to be a lot more like teas and things of that nature.
Ah, that's nice. Yeah, what kind of tea you got there?
Just plain old orange pico.
Oh yeah, well you're off to a great start. But
what do you got?
And I just have water tonight because
holistic Aaron Airport doesn't need anything unnatural.
Well, what's more human than water? And I think that it's a great option for the show. Keeps me hydrated, keeps me healthy.
Good.
And again, it's hard to find sugar-free, caffeine-free drinks these days that I haven't already featured on the show.
It seems like everything is working out in paving the way towards a great show tonight of keeping Canada weird by highlighting, seeking out, exploring, rolling our eyes at, rubbernecking at. That means quickly turning around and watching something crazy. Unique and offbeat stories from Canada over the past week, maybe week and a half since we missed a show. But we got to start with something big. We do dabble in retail news and developments in this country, and we are on the cusp of one of the largest, most significant retail stories probably in Canadian history. Hudson Bay, which is Canada's oldest company, is preparing to wind down its operations unless a last-minute Hail Mary deal is made. Industry analysts say there is no chance. We are on the cusp of the end of the Hudson Bay Company. For people who are listening from outside of Canada, I don't know if they will know what Hudson Bay Company is, or as I simply call it, the Bay. Do you want to describe this?
The Bay, Hudson's Bay, is a department store chain here in Canada.
Canada's oldest company. That business was founded in 1670. It got its start with like
fur trading and that type of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But it was just announced this past Friday that unless a deal is made in the next, I think by Monday, they are going to be not like closing a few stores, like completely liquidating and shutting down the business. I'm going to play a short news clip about this, and then we can talk about it.
There's a grim reality in the hope to save Canada's last traditional department store chain after it was unable to secure necessary funding needed to keep it afloat.
It's probably going to take a little bit of a miracle for them to kind of survive.
Hudson's Bay preparing for the immediate liquidation of its entire business.
Just a company that didn't invest, got caught in the wrong channel, failed to launch a strategy to keep up with newer consumers, and had some bad housekeeping in terms of paying vendors, paying landlords.
While it's no longer Canadian-owned, experts say it would still be a loss.
It's the end of the department store era in Canada as we knew it, And, others have fallen by the wayside. You think of Sears Canada, you think of Simpsons, Eaton's, there's a number of Robinsons, etc.
And for customers, the time is ticking.
So what I'd recommend consumers, if they have a gift card, get out today and tomorrow and spend it.
I came here as fast as I could to use my gift card because I know it's going to be gone next.
Customers also hoping for the best.
Hudson's Bay, it would be sad for it to go.
Sad to see if they close down.
The company says if they receive a court order on Monday, the liquidation process could begin as early as next week, wrapping up in June.
My biggest takeaway about this is it's been years that I've been saying I'm shocked that the Bay is still open. You go in the Bay, and they're like an anchor store for a lot of malls in Canada. Like what I mean by the anchor store, the largest store in the mall. For years, you go in these large bays, and it's just devoid of people. There's nobody around. The elevator's not working. There's like a wet spot, like a water stain on the ceiling. Everything is super expensive, and there are no customers. That's gone on for years now, to the point that I've said multiple times, again, going back 10 years, 15 years, I can't believe they're still open. But it seems like it's finally happening.
Yeah, I'm disappointed because I still shop at the Bay all the time.
Actually, yeah, you in Sydney, the Bay is the anchor store for the Mayflower Mall, the largest mall in Cape Breton.
That's right. And so the Bay being the largest store in the Mayflower Mall. And the Bay still has, what I like about the Bay is that it still feels like that traditional department store from the 50s or the 60s,
Yeah.
Especially at Christmas time when you're there, it just has that feeling, that vibe. And I like the clothes that they sell there in terms of men's clothing. And that's where I buy my Levi's jeans.
But why is the Bay closing? Is it because, like you've just said yourself, it has this feeling of a 1950s department store? I think there's a reason that style of department store has left. Business in Canada and around the world, it's now a race to the bottom. They want it as cheap as possible. Forget quality. It's about cheap, efficient, fast. Get it flying off the shelf and get people in and out. The Bay isn't like that. It doesn't have like a bank of self-checkouts. It's the last one of its kind. It's a dinosaur.
Yeah.
Is that why it's dying?
I don't think that's why it's dying. I think that model could still work in this modern shopping era. People still like to physically shop. They like to physically touch the product, try it on, smell it, put it in their purse, leave without paying. There's lots of things that people still like to do in physical malls. But so I thought that a place like the Bay would still hold on to those customers that still want that experience. And I'm sure there's a way to make that structure work.
Yeah, but I think whatever it was or whatever that way is, they would have needed to been shifting and morphing into that version years ago. It's way too late. And the size of their stores, what it must cost to run all that, even the amount of employees. This is a sad story. The company currently operates 80 bays in Canada. There's 80 locations with just under 10,000 employees in Canada set to lose their jobs probably within a week. That's a sad story.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's disappointing to hear about anybody losing their job. And but I'm going to miss the Bay. I applied for a job at the Bay and didn't get it.
Really?
And I'm holistic Aaron Airport now.
Humble.
So I'm not going to sit here and dwell on that and be bitter about it.
Well, be humble. Maybe they made
here.
the right choice.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. So I'm not going to sit here and be glad that the Bay is failing. I love the Bay. I'm going to miss the Bay. I walk around the Bay probably 2 or 3 times a week. I stroll the Bay, and I guess I should have bought more Levi's there. Maybe I could have saved the place.
Remind me at the end of the show. I just thought of a great idea for our closing bit, because I have a Hudson Bay story that I'll need to call someone to confirm that it's true.
Oh, I know exactly who you're going to call.
Well, let's get into it. We have a lot of weird Canadian news stories. We have the Bay out of the way for now. So we're going to take our first break of the night, and then we're going to get into a trilogy of Canadian crime stories that played out over the last week. that were equally bizarre and strange, and we're both going to have a lot to say about each of them. So let's take a break, and then we'll start with dumb Canadian crime. Aaron, we got 3 stories of Canadian crime to break down tonight. Do you want to hear about a stolen book, some stolen wheels, or a Christian school that investigated sexuality on campus and took it way, way too far?
Well, let's start with the book.
Okay, so we'll start with a petty crime. This is a good one, though. It is a petty crime, but petty crimes can make a big difference. There's something called the broken window theory, and that's this idea that if you want to stop crime in a city, you need to investigate every broken window, hold people accountable for breaking windows, start at the, you can't let anything go, even vandalism and petty crime like stealing books. So let's get into this one. British Columbia's Robert Murray committed a petty crime over 60 years ago. Around the year 1960, Murray borrowed, quote unquote borrowed, a camping and wilderness guide type book from his local library. He enjoyed the book so much, he decided to not return it. It took him a while, 6 decades in fact, but it seems his conscience has recently got the better of him. Here's the story of the stolen book.
Here is the book itself.
The book, titled Camping and Woodcraft, a handbook for vacation and for travelers in the wilderness by Horace Kephart, was checked out by Robert Murray on May 10th, 1960.
Books are often late, but you don't always hear from the individual who took them out.
Murray, a UBC engineering student and outdoor enthusiast, had read his fair share of books, but he says nothing like this.
I thought they were pretty much garbage, but I picked this book up just by happenstance and realized that it was gold.
Murray even credits the book with potentially saving his and his son David's life after a hike took a turn for the worse.
David wanted to put the tent up, and I says, nope, no good. We just take the water inside with us and freeze. So we put up a tarp, lean-to, got a fire going in front of it.
The 83-year-old says he always intended to return the book, and after a recent health scare decided it was the right time, attaching a letter explaining why and a check for $100 for late fees, which UBC has phased out. Despite being 64 years late, Murray said he never felt guilty.
Thought being as it only been taken out once in the last 10 years that maybe I could keep it a little longer. So I did.
He was an ideal custodian of this book. He's returning us to us in good enough shape that it can go back into the circulation.
The library reminding everyone to return overdue books no matter how much time has passed. And for the record, Murray did buy his own copy.
This is the one, the 2-volume one.
One he can keep forever.
I can't help but be reminded of, I guess 2 weeks ago, we heard the story of the stolen Pokemon cards from the card shop that were returned by this mystery figure with a kind of sketchy looking box. Is this our second kind of telltale heart type story after a theft?
Well, is it a theft? Because he did check the book out. He just didn't return it. So are we calling this a theft?
I would think so. He intentionally didn't return it. It's not like he forgot to return it. He decided.
He intentionally.
Yeah, he said like that book was gold, and I bought it. And when you read the print article, it goes in a bit more depth. But he goes on to say like he took it from the library, fell in love with it. He then extended it or renewed his borrow, which gave him a bit more time, and then he just decided no one's going to miss this.
Yeah.
He thought no one would be the wiser. I think it's like, I'm surprised that he remembered all this time.
Yeah. I'm surprised he gave it back at this point in time. It had been so long. Why bother?
With he gave them $100 too. I think it's just, he's an older guy now. Is this like the petty crime equivalent of a deathbed confession?
Yeah, I guess, next thing he's going to turn around and tell us he's DB Cooper.
That's how I feel though. But
yeah. I mean, I have similar situation.
Oh, is there something you need to make right?
I'm humble and holistic now, so I'm gonna come clean on something with you and the listeners here of Keep Canada Weird. And if I go to jail, so be it.
Ooh, I'm just thinking, like, I don't know why, but all of a sudden I feel like we're at church and I'm in that little booth and I'm in one side and you're in the other. I can't see your face. This is like the Keep Canada Weird confession booth.
Yes. Well, forgive me, Father Bonaparte. I have sinned.
Yes, my son. What did you do?
Well, Father, I was in university, and I was taking a playwriting course from a lovely professor. Alex Pierce was her name. And we were talking about plays in her office one day, and she lent me a book that she had borrowed from the university library.
Okay.
And it was a book of Canadian plays. And she wanted me to read through the plays and see if I liked any of them, and then return the book to her that she would then return to the university library. I never gave her the book back. And I have the book to this day. Right now.
My son, it seems like you've done your teacher wrong.
Yes, Father, I have. How many, what are they called?
Years in hell do you get
No,
for stealing a book?
Father, no.
In eternity.
Petty, Father. It's petty. Now, I admitted to it. Now just give me a little slap on the wrist and send me on my way.
You have to go to the bathroom, look in the mirror and say Bloody Mary 3 times.
Oh.
And if you survive that, then you need to contact the teacher and return the book. My son.
Thank you, Father. I appreciate it.
This is so weird. I don't like playing the part of the priest.
I'm just glad I'm not playing the part of the priest. No.
You're my vulnerable. You like being the vulnerable sinner. You kinky freak.
I'm just the naughty little sinner, just prancing around in the confession booth, doing my things, spitting my sins.
Maybe we should use that as the segue into the story about the Christian school that invested sexuality on campus and took it too far.
Yeah, let's go. Do you want to keep playing the father character in this story, or
absolutely not? Absolutely not. This one, This is one of the more delicate stories we've covered on Keep Canada Weird, but it's a Canadian story, and it's oh so weird that we got to talk about it. A former director of a private Christian school in Saskatoon is currently on trial, charged with 9 counts of assault with a weapon against students, the weapon being a paddle. But his testimony took a very unusual turn. He claims it was all a part of his investigation into sexual activity among his students. Here's the story.
Taking the stand for a second day, John Olibabokin testified he began investigating homosexuality and sexual activity among students at his school. The 64-year-old is on trial, charged with 9 counts of assault with a weapon stemming from allegations of physical abuse while he was a director at Christian Center Academy, now named Valor Academy, about 20 years ago. Earlier in his trial, 9 students testified Olibabokin hit them with a wooden paddle. One said he was paddled for being gay. During cross-examination, Olibabokin said he began investigating homosexuality after a student winked and blew a kiss to another student, which led to a physical altercation. He then added he was investigating sexual activity in general because he said students were making jokes with sexual connotations. He denied all allegations of abuse towards students in this trial. After calling for witnesses to testify, the defense closed its case and asked for an adjournment to make closing arguments. For former students, seeing another adjournment is disappointing.
So there's disappointment there, but we definitely respect and understand the judicial process, and we're still going to be here. We knew that this was going to be a marathon, and we're going to see this all the way through to the end.
The Crown and defense are set to make closing arguments on May 2nd.
Before we say anything, I just want to say that I empathize with the people affected by this, and I hope they get justice if the allegations are proven to be true. So I don't want to belittle the trauma and the experience they went through with allegedly being paddled by the director of their Christian school. Mm-hmm. But this whole thing is pretty wild. First of all, I am very glad you or I didn't go to this school.
Yeah,
I would have gotten
yeah,
my face
yeah.
beat in
I
by
would
this
have been
director.
paddled constantly. Yeah.
The one experience we hear is one of the victims alleged they were paddled simply for being gay. That absolutely awful if true, disgusting. The guy should be held accountable if true. But some of the other allegations, one person alleges they winked at somebody. Then there were jokes of a sexual nature, and then the idea that the director of the school would take on this investigation. I would, if they kept notes, could you imagine getting access to like those investigative files? They would be hilarious to read, I think. Actually, probably pretty dystopian to read.
Yeah, and disturbing. I mean, the idea that this teacher, this what is his role there?
They
He's a
call the
principal or
director.
director. Or,
So
yeah,
I guess it's like the
whatever.
dean
He's
or the principal.
well, he doesn't even deserve titles. He deserves whatever comes to him.
Paddlings.
He deserves eye for an eye on this one. A
Yeah.
public paddling this guy should get.
Do you even need a trial when it's 9 people giving the same allegation and you are all but admitting, like, yeah, I did an investigation into sexual activity on the school. There were people winking. There were dirty jokes being said. There was a gay student.
Yeah, guilty. And my God, like,
And when you hear this, it kind of sounds like something that would have happened like in middle of nowhere in the 1960s or 50s or 40s. This is just 20 years ago in Saskatoon.
yeah, I mean, it's awful to think that there are people who think this way and that are so, repressed in certain ways, and they use religion as an excuse to be able to
Yeah.
take out those ideas and in a violent way on students.
Yeah,
And
this guy's a deviant, eh?
yeah, and paddling, like, the term paddling to me it discredits the trauma that these students probably went through. Because it's a kind of a word that doesn't really do justice to the crime of physically beating students for their sexuality.
But would paddling not mean, does that have to be like hitting someone in the butt with it?
I don't know if it has to be specific to the butt, but they're certainly most commonly known to be in that area. I don't.
Okay.
Never really thought more about paddling. I haven't thought about paddling at all until tonight.
No,
really.
Well, fortunately, we're of an age that has never, we didn't go to school during that time. Our parents would have faced like getting a meter stick, like a ruler across the knuckles, or getting paddled or whatever by their teacher. I could not imagine that. If I heard that a teacher physically disciplined one of my kids, I don't even know what I would do.
I would go blind with rage, and I would probably murder them.
Really?
Could we go back into the confession booth, actually, because
you just had an inappropriate thought?
Yeah, of murder. It's just paddling, I mean, we come from a generation too. Like when I was a kid, it was common to spank children. That was a common thing.
Did you ever get spanked?
Me? Of course I did.
Yeah, I did too. My dad, I got hit with a belt.
I got the
in the butt, and I probably deserved it.
I got the spatula. That's
really?
My mom would.
That's humiliating.
Yeah, you flip eggs with that. What are you hitting me in the ass with it for? Well, what she would do is she would wait until I went. Good thing I don't. My mom doesn't know how to listen to a podcast, so
Okay, so we're good. This is a safe place.
Yeah. But she'd wait until I was in the bathtub, till I was getting my nightly bath, and then she'd be, "Oh, I heard you're making prank phone calls today." Crack, crack, crack. Just wet spatula on bare flesh.
Oh God!
It was a plastic spatula, so I don't know if that's better or worse or what.
Well, I don't know. She could probably swing it faster because it's light and aerodynamic.
It's got more crack to it.
Did it have like
plastic.
the holes in it? How some spatulas have like holes for like air?
I don't remember. The only one specifically I remember is I was known for making a lot of prank phone calls.
Me too. I had the cops at my house when I was in grade 5, I think.
Oh yeah, I had the police intervene in my prank phone calls too. Me and my cousin had a bad situation one time with making prank phone calls. And the woman called the police on us, and we had to go to her house and apologize to her.
And you got the spatula for that, I bet.
Yeah, and listen, this prank phone call was a real bad one. She didn't answer when we called, but we left the prank call on her answering machine.
Oh, that leaves evidence. That's almost like sending a prank email.
Yeah, but there was no caller ID back then.
Yeah, I know.
And
it was the Wild
West.
West.
A different time. It was a different time. Yeah, prank phone calls, especially me and my cousin, we did them all the time. Sometimes I would just call people and just sing to them over the phone, like genuinely. But other times it was too far.
Okay.
A lot of confessions tonight.
I know. Well, it's like I said, we've had a week off. We've had a chance to reflect and think. And I think this is a bit of like, like you see a snake sheds its skin.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of like a cobra who's just shedding its skin, and we want to be fresh, new, clean. This is a fresh start. So let's finish this segment up with our final dumb Canadian crime of the night. I don't know if this is a dumb Canadian criminal or just a weird, puzzling one. You're going to like this. This is a tire story. You're going to like it. Edmonton's Chris Wells thought it was bad when one of his car tires was stolen. But the situation only grew worse and worse. The thieves kept coming back until they had slowly taken all 4 tires. And adding to the absurdity, the tires were old and bald, leaving Wells baffled as to why anyone would go through such great lengths to steal his old tires. Here's the story of the stolen wheels. And I say tires. They stole the whole damn wheels. Here it comes.
I mean, it's embarrassing too. Every time we come out to take things out of this car, people are walking by and staring. And
one morning in early February, Chris Wells and his girlfriend walked up to their 2009 Nissan Versa and noticed one of its wheels was missing.
So we came down to actually take the car to a dealership to buy a new car, and one of the tires, I believe it was the driver's side rear, just gone.
One tire gone, no problem. They slapped on a spare. But 2 weeks later, the thieves struck again. But this time, they weren't so successful.
When they undid the lug nuts, the car kind of just fell on it and it got wedged into place. So that one's our tire. Thankfully, we still have it.
Then after another 2 weeks, someone came back to finish the job.
And they brought a donut with them to prop the car up and the jack, and these 2 were stolen overnight at once. So
Wells says if the thieves were trying to make a quick buck, his tires weren't the best option.
And they're bald, like years old all-season tires. Like they're not good tires. You're not going to make a lot of money if you're trying to upsell them or anything. Yeah.
Edmonton police can't tell us exact numbers of wheels stolen across Edmonton, but on social media there have been several posts over the last few months of similar thefts.
This stuff's been going on ever since I've been in Canada. It's not new.
Owner of the wheel clinic, Robert McMaster, says he sees stolen rims and tires sold on Kijiji and Facebook Marketplace all the time.
I've seen wheels of people whose wheels have been stolen. I've seen them pop up on Marketplace.
He says you can buy locking lug nuts, but if someone wants to steal your wheels, it probably won't stop them. It'll just slow them down.
And I'm sorry, I don't have any tips or tricks, just, I don't know. Good luck.
Wells has installed the dash cam in his new car and is planning to buy some locking wheel nuts.
The clumsiest wheel or tire thief of all time hit this guy's car. It took them multiple like over a period of like 4 weeks, they managed to steal 3 of his tires. In the news video there, you see that one of the tires that they tried to get off kind of got stuck under the car, so that's still there. There's a bunch of those jacks like kind of still left embedded under the car. I can only imagine those jacks are worth 20 or 30 bucks a pop. What is an old like 5-year-old all-season tire worth? This is a bizarre case. I almost think like it's either a neighborhood kid screwing with him or like a jealous ex-lover.
Mm-hmm. It does seem personal. It does, but I know exactly who's doing it.
Okay.
Oh, that tone,
Go
I
ahead
didn't
and
appreciate that tone at all that you just had.
I just you said it with the air of defamation.
Yeah, well,
Accuse, humble, holistic, uh, hate-filled Aaron Airport. Who did it?
no. This is detective work. This isn't, there's
Okay.
no spite behind it. It's not revenge filled. This is just detective work. Now, they're interviewing a tire shop owner in this story who said something
Mm-hmm.
very alarming at the very start of his interview. And he said, "This has been going on since I moved to Canada."
Oh, guilty. Is that a confession?
Yeah, it is. So
It started that day.
it started,
the first night.
coincidentally, it started ever since I moved to Canada. Also, coincidentally, I just happen to own a tire store where I sell tires. How do I get my inventory?
It had no advice on how to prevent it other than good luck.
Exactly. There's nothing you can do to prevent this. You just have to lay down and take it. This is what this guy is saying. And the best criminals hide in plain sight. Who is hiding in more plain sight than the tire store owner? It's brilliant. I applaud this guy. I think he's doing great work. And I mean, I'm on to him, but nobody else is.
Yeah, I guess we got nothing else to discuss. That is a compelling case, Aaron. Congratulations.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Let's take our final break for the night. When we get back, we have two remaining stories. One is about a bizarre discovery in a New Brunswick bush, and the other is the story of a Halifax business that may be putting an end to the trade war. After this short break. Humble and holistic Aaron Airport. Have you ever found anything weird in a bush?
In a bush. No.
Okay. Well, somebody has. It isn't me. It's somebody in New Brunswick. It's not every day that you stumble upon a pile of 40,000 pills. But that's exactly what happened to RCMP officers near Rishabukto, New Brunswick. They found them in a bush. While searching a remote wooded area as part of an unrelated investigation, officers came upon a bizarre sight. A stash of pills believed to be methamphetamine hid in a bush. The haul's estimated to be worth around $200,000 on the street. It was packaged in numerous clear, zip-top plastic bags bundled together in a larger container. How exactly did this massive load of drugs end up in the middle of nowhere? That's what investigators are trying to find out. One thing that they're certain of, didn't fall from the sky. Unless it was a very large drone, said Sergeant Belanger, pointing out that the 18-kilogram stash should be too heavy for most drones that people in the area would own. So if it wasn't airdropped, was it left there for someone to pick up? That's the leading theory. But who? And why in such a remote location? For now, RCMP aren't sharing many details. Belanger wouldn't say whether the officers were acting on a tip or if their original investigation was drug-related. So far, no arrests have been made, and there are no suspects. But what is clear is that someone, somewhere, is missing a significant amount of drugs. What do you make of this? This is, the article doesn't really explain too much, but this was found like deep in the woods. The police claim they were there working on an unrelated case. I find that a little hard to believe.
An unrelated case. Yeah, that is suspicious to me. The story reminds me of the rotisserie chicken story when they found all those rotisserie chickens in the woods.
But that was like a homeowner who found the rotisserie chickens just in the woods behind her house. This is some RCMP officers deep in the forest on an investigation stumble upon $200,000 of meth in a bush? Come on. I believe in coincidences, but not like that.
So you don't think that the rotisserie chickens and the methamphetamine is related?
The rotisserie chickens in, I think that was Manitoba, the meth in New Brunswick. No, I don't think there is some kind of cross-country national crime syndicate whose MO is hiding weird things in the woods, be it chickens or meth.
Well, I think anytime you find more than one thing in a pile somewhere, it's connected to the rotisserie chickens.
Okay. And they're stealing butter. No, actually, I don't think that's connected.
Maybe on the side, but
yeah,
and
maybe it's hitting me. I got to say this. Maybe the case the RCMP officers were working on that they don't want to reveal was the mystery of the thrown away chickens, rotisserie chickens in Manitoba. For whatever reason, they were out in the woods of New Brunswick working on a lead for that case. And then it happens again.
Yeah.
The culprit left their signature, a pile of stuff in the woods. This
just
time,
a pile of something.
This time, 40,000 meth pills.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it can just be anything. It could be just a pile of any household items, spatulas, actually.
Oh, God. Yeah, I think it must have been dropped off for someone to pick up. That's all I can think of. New Brunswick is kind of it's kind of a pathway for drugs to move from the United States into Canada because it's a border province. Although I think some people on the other side of the border in power may disagree, thinking that drugs are flowing in the opposite direction. But very rarely do I hear stories of like, I'm a drug exporter. I get drugs and I bring them down to the States. I smuggle Canadian firearms into America. I've never heard of that kind of crime.
No, but
I think this is drugs coming up from the US and someone was going to pick it up and the RCMP officers found it first, but I think that they were there looking for it. I don't think they stumbled upon it.
It is very, very weird for police officers to just stumble by accident across all of that much of an illegal drug kind of stashed in a bush. And yeah, I mean, illegal drugs are something that I would think would be commonly stashed in woods. So because if you have them in your vehicle and something happens and you got to get rid of them right away, you're going to throw them into the woods somewhere.
Or if you were trying to smuggle them, you could like walk through the woods and like, coming up from the States, let's say, hike up on a motorbike or something, leave them somewhere, and then someone else comes.
Yeah, it's a drop off. That's point.
Maybe
here's the GPS coordinates. That's where the stash is. Go get it later today.
Less risky than crossing the border by car.
Yeah.
During our discussion there on this case, I did mention cross-border and cross-border political, geopolitical allegations or maybe sensitivities with the idea that drugs are moving from Canada into the United States. Of course, I know you watch the news. That's been a bit of a discussion whether or not that's happening and whether or not our country should be like taken over as a result.
Yeah.
I don't want to make Keep Canada Weird a political show, but a business in Halifax is trying to put a stop to all the geopolitical infighting. They're trying to calm the president down. They're trying to calm the prime minister down. And they're finding a unique way to tackle the trade war. And they're doing it with baseball bats and broken glass. The Rage Room is holding a Smash the Tariff event that lets customers take a swing, literally, at framed photos of U.S. President Donald Trump, turning the economic frustration and geopolitical infighting into a hands-on form of protest. I'm going to play the story of the Halifax Rage Room's counter to the American tariffs, then we'll talk about it.
Some might call it a smashing good time. A nationwide surge in frustration over Trump's tariffs on Canada has sparked a new idea at a Rage Room in Halifax.
What you see here is a drop in a bucket.
Owner Terry LeBlanc is giving customers a free frame photo of U.S. President Donald Trump to smash.
Normally I don't really get political. However, I feel with everything going on in the world and what's happening these days, I feel like this is needed.
The Rage Room provides a safe space to blow off steam by breaking electronic and household items.
We're entertainment first, and if you get a little stress relief out of it while you're here, then it wins both ways.
And people are having fun.
Well, I have a little souvenir that I'm actually going to keep. Just hang it up, March break stuff. Sorry, Donald.
It's kind of freeing. It's very nice. It's almost therapeutic. It was great. I loved it.
While this reporter shouldn't participate in any political smashing, I do want to alleviate some stress and break some random objects.
Extras on the smash menu are 25% off in opposition to the tariffs. The portraits have been donated to Leblanc by Quinprint and are printed on Canadian paper. The shop is bracing for impact from Trump's proposed levy and is worried for its customers.
People are feeling the pinch, and at least as far as my clients are concerned, it's the folks who can afford the pinch the least.
Framed photos of J.D. Vance and Elon Musk are available as a pair for $5, 100% of which will be donated to Feed Nova Scotia.
So far, everything's been positive.
And when it comes to how long the portraits will be sticking around, LeBlanc hopes until the trade war ends.
I've never done a rage room. I want to do it. That sounds like so much fun. To go in a room and just with a baseball bat and just smash some stuff. I feel like that would definitely be therapeutic. That's something Holistic Air and Airport could really get off on.
No, I don't have rage anymore. I don't need to channel that into destroying something.
That's the old you.
I self-reflect and I meditate and I drink water and I stay calm and humble.
Okay, well, I could enjoy. So when you hear of tariffs and the takeover and the 51st state, you just pour a tea, you light some incense, and you go and that does it.
You really don't know how to actually meditate. I'm sorry to say.
We need to address the elephant in the room, though. In the article we just heard covering the rage room, getting people to smash pictures of Trump, they talked about the pictures themselves being printed here in Canada by a Halifax business called Quinprint. And they had a representative, the owner of the business. Did you recognize his voice?
Oh, I sure did. Yeah, that's a dear old friend of ours, you and I.
I heard he ran a print shop, but I didn't know anything about it. I'm watching the news and up pops Scott Gillard, owner of Quinprint, it appears. Yes, old friend. We have many memories with him, and I'm glad to see he's still ruffling the political feathers.
Absolutely. Yeah. We go way back with Scott, and he was an early fan of our band, and he would book us on shows sometimes, and yeah, we lots of great memories of Scott.
Yeah, and now he's still making it happen. He now runs a print shop called Quinprint in Halifax. I don't know exactly what they do, but if your business is getting any printing done, go to them first.
I directed Scott at a play one time.
Oh, how'd he do?
Great. Yeah, Scott's a great actor.
Okay. I'll Quinprint, Quin print. Look them up, and Scott's a great guy. And tell him Aaron and Jordan from Keep Canada Weird sent you.
We can't guarantee any discounts, though.
No, there may not be. He'll be like, who? Let's get back to the rage room, though. If you went there, would you want... you're not going to go there. If I went there, I don't think I'd necessarily want political photos. You know what I'd like is like old TVs, like the big CRT TVs, computers, keyboards. It'd be really cool to smash a keyboard with a baseball bat and see all the little keys go flying. I'd love ceramics, like
vases and
oh man, I'd
like
love
that.
this. I'd love to do that. I'm gonna look it up, and I think you wear like a protective mask.
You would have to, because you'd have pieces of glass flying everywhere. You would have to be very careful of your eyes.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to look into this business. I love the idea. I didn't know there was something like that in Halifax.
I had heard about it, and to be honest, I would try it. I'd be worried it would make me more angry, though. Like I would have a taste for blood after that.
I worry I'll hurt myself in there, even with the mask on. Like I worked an office job not too long ago, and we did like an office bowling thing where, like, for a team building exercise, we all went bowling, and I missed 3 days of work after because I like threw my back out bowling. I felt like the world's oldest man.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Imagine what I'd do to myself in a rage room.
Yeah, there's not enough backs in the world to help you in a rage room.
What will help me, though, is a nice piece of listener mail to wrap up the night. We got a good one here. I didn't get into a lot of listener mail because I put quite a few aside for the next mailbag that'll be coming up in the next week or two. And since we missed last week's episode, there was just so much weird news to get to. But we do have a great piece of voicemail that I want to air. And this is an example of us pursuing a weird subplot on Keep Canada Weird and stumbling upon an expert who's able to put everything in context due to the perspective that they have. We've been talking a lot about senior citizens. That evolved to talking about senior citizens with ice cream. And that evolved into a listener pitching the idea of putting ice cream machines in nursing homes. Well, as you will soon hear, a dietary assistant who works in nursing homes is able to let us know that an ice cream machine, soft serve ice cream machine in a nursing home is not a great idea.
Hello. I wanted to kind of add on to that senior ice cream machine conversation you were having in your last episode of Keep Canada Weird. And this is coming from someone that works in a senior facility as like a dietary assistant. So I kind of like handle their food and stuff. Having a soft serve machine wouldn't be a good idea because damn, they would abuse it. Those seniors love ice cream. We buy a ton of different assortments of ice creams for them, like cones, different flavors of cups, endless flavors, different kinds, even popsicles. And they go through that stuff like crazy. Like it's like crack for them. So I feel like if we had an ice cream machine for them, that thing would be broken like every single day. And it'd be just too much of a hassle. But yes, having ice cream in senior homes is wonderful. They love ice cream. It makes them happy. And it's really nice to see. But I do not think that an ice cream machine would be a very wise idea unless it's being handled by one of the staff. Like, because, yeah, well, that's all I got. Thank you. Love the show.
Wow. Has anyone ever pursued tires on a podcast as far as we have? Has anyone ever pursued the topic of senior citizens eating ice cream to the depth and level that we've done? We are doing journalism here.
Yeah, we're going in places that everybody else is too afraid to go in. And we're really just scratching the surface on this conspiracy that nobody is talking about leaving more than one thing of something in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
That's only you and I talking about that.
Yeah, we don't ever have to worry about, they call it getting scooped when like the media comes and takes your story and like runs with it. We don't have to worry about being scooped because I think we're the only ones brave enough to pursue some of these threads that we've been pulling. And you know, the harder we pull, the stranger it gets. This is important work, and I'm glad to be doing it here in the trenches with you. And this voicemail, it kind of reminds me of something you and I talked about recently. I had this idea, and I think you agreed with it, of going back to some of the things we've discussed in past episodes that some of the kind of storylines or story threads that spanned several episodes and kind of taking them and making one episode that kind of tells the story of that thread. For example, we had egg versus egg gate, which is I don't need to explain what it is. It was a big deal when it happened. It almost led to the end of the show. It would be cool to go back and take every like voicemail or piece of audio related to that topic and make kind of like almost like TV shows. Remember sitcoms back in the 80s and 90s? Every so often they'd have like a compilation episode.
Yeah, like a clip show, they would call it, where they would show old clips from old episodes and they would transition into them like kind of back and forth. Like, there's so many topics that we could cover. The animal uprising, obviously, the teenagers, how when I was going to leave the show, Aaron Gate, I think it was called, or whatever, we could get into that.
Yeah, we have the senior citizens ice cream stuff. We have that. We had the old lady who hated your guts, called you a little bitch. What's her name?
No.
Anne?
No, it was something else.
Dorothy?
No.
Whatever her name is, but we I blocked it out from the PTSD from that. But that's something we should do. It'd be cool bonus episodes every so often, dude. And it would be good for new listeners who hear us reference Egggate. They'll be like, what are you talking about? They could go back and listen to the episode where in like 30 minutes it tells the story of that, and they can hear the clips, because this that we're recording right now is episode 154 of Keep Canada Weird. So for people new to this, it's hard to go back and, catch up on kind of the, the references we make.
Yeah, this would be a good opportunity for them. Great opportunity for us to walk down memory lane together, and
it would be nice.
And
maybe we could eat ice cream while we do it.
You know what we should do as well is have a full episode where you play the father and I'm the sinner. But actually, the listeners will be the sinners, because they'll call in and leave voicemails of their sins. And then you and I...
The Keep Canada Weird confession booth.
Yes.
I like that better than the rant room, because rants are by their very essence, it seems that they're negative because they're lashing out. I've had enough. No one wants that. Confessions are about like renewal, forgiveness, change for the better. The Keep Canada Weird confession booth could be very fun.
Yeah. I have another idea for a booth as well. I guess it would be called like maybe something like Keep Canada Romantic. And we would have listeners who are single call in and give their dating profiles over voicemail.
Ooh, that would be good too.
Yeah.
And imagine we match them up.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like,
Okay, let's put a pin in that. That's a great idea. We just missed Valentine's Day. That would have been
great lead up to Valentine's Day. But I'm thinking, like if there's some listeners out there who want to maybe meet another correspondent and fall in love,
we would do the matchmaking. So what they would need to do. Okay, so there's two things we're looking for. If you have a confession, go to nighttimepodcast.com/contact. It can be anonymous. Father Airport and Father Bonaparte will listen, and we will forgive you most likely. If you are single, go to nighttimepodcast.com/contact and tell us a little bit about yourself in a voicemail. What we're looking for is, I guess, maybe age, province,
hobbies,
or state,
interests,
hobbies,
what
and what kind of person you're looking
what type
for.
of partner you're looking to meet. Think of it just like a Tinder profile or whatever you would do, and say those things, and who knows, it could lead to something.
And then if we air it, and if someone out there is interested, they can contact us. We can put you both in touch.
You know what? If it goes that far, I think we should pay for the first date.
Yeah. Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
And we won't go. We won't make it weird.
No, we won't go.
That would be cool.
But if you want us to, we absolutely will go.
We got a lot. Okay, so go to nighttimepodcast.com/contact. You can be anonymous, but you should include your email. We won't air that, but that way I can get you in touch with your prospective lover.
And just make sure when you leave the voicemail, right at the top, state, is this a sin or a dating profile?
Yeah, the subject line could be forgiveness or mate
or future forgiveness.
All right, I like it. Well, let's wrap this up. We have taking a week off is a great idea. We came out swinging tonight. Yeah,
we're filled with them.
Well, I think we got our work cut out for us. We got a lot of Canada be keeping weird. So let's wrap this up for tonight. We look forward to hearing from you all, and we're glad to be back.
Oh, it feels great to be back. We're firing on all cylinders right now, so stay tuned for more great ideas.
More ideas. Let's just keep it at that.
Just ideas, yeah.
We've been doing this 3 or 4 years. I think we've missed 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's not often we miss a week, but whenever we do, it's definitely Jordan's fault.
Yeah, and when we do, we come back in a blaze of glory as we are now.
Absolutely, we do.
Handsome Aaron Airport, until next time.
Father Bonaparte, until next time.
Keep your wheels on your car and your pills in your pill cabinet, not out in the woods.
Great. And Father Bonaparte, until next time, if being your buddy is a sin, then burn me in hell.
I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I fulfill our mission to keep Canada weird. If you've got a news story from your area that you'd like to share with us, or have any thoughts or theories or opinions on anything we discussed tonight, we'd love to hear from you. You can contact us by using the voice recorder that can be found at nighttimepodcast.com/contact. And on that topic, I want to give a big thank you to this episode's correspondents. If your voice message was aired tonight, you can email me your address. My email is nighttimepodcast@gmail.com, and I'll get a Keep Canada Weird badge and swag pack sent out to you. I just ask that you wear the badge proudly and responsibly. Next, a big thanks goes out to Aaron for another great night, Nicole for the intro and outro voiceovers, and Monty Data for the outro version of O Canada. And then, of course, a sincere and massive thank you goes out to each and every one of you listening. Your support makes this show possible. And if you'd like to support the show even more, please consider a subscription to the premium feed, which can be found at nighttimepodcast.com/subscribe. The premium feed costs just a couple dollars a month, but that money will fund the creation of new episodes of the show, and it'll give you those episodes 2 days early, ad-free, and access to a back catalog of episodes. And even if you don't want to go premium, you can still support the show by sharing this episode on social media. It helps a lot too, and it's free. Your support is very much appreciated. So with all that said, until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and together, let's keep Canada weird.
Keep Canada Weird is written, hosted, and produced by the Nighttime Podcast.
And now to our viewers and listeners everywhere. Good night.
He might be in bed.
I'll wake him up.
Hey.
Hey, you awake?
Yes.
You heard the bays shutting down.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I was just thinking, I was talking to Aaron about this earlier. You remember what we used to do there?
Yes, I do. We used to buy McDonald's at the Walmart at the mall and go eat at the bay at the tables.
Yeah, because they sold kitchen tables, so we would bring our food in there.
Dining room tables. Yeah.
And when we were done eating, we'd throw it in the garbage and sit on the showroom couches and chill.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, it's a shame they're closing down. That was when you worked at the scooter shop.
Yeah, the scooter shop, and our friend Krusty worked at the. Am I on the air right now?
Yeah.
I figured that. That's why I gave background. Our friend Krusty worked at the Thrifties that was right next to the scooter.
Yeah, he sold the jeans. You did the scooters and the kiosk. Aaron worked at La Senza, and we would eat our food in the bay. Yeah, he worked at La Senza. He worked in the stock room back in the day. He's never told you about this?
No.
Quiz him about underwear, women's underwear. He knows the different cuts and fabrics and everything. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, but anyway, you got to go, buddy. I just wanted to make sure that eating food in the bay's kitchen showroom wasn't a weird fever dream.
No, it wasn't. And I'll be sure to check out the liquidation sales too.
Good night.
See you guys. Yeah.
I love calling him.
I know. We got to do it more often on the show.
Yeah, I just wonder what I should have asked him what he's up to, because that's another thing is when you call Randy, he's always up to something really weird.
Yeah.
And it usually involves like cheese.
90% of what he does involves cheese.